Darren Cox's life in fishing. So,
and hasn't it been a long one?
I wouldn't like to ask your age.
You whippersnappers. You.
But what I'm going to do, you've won one or two things in your time. I'm going to quickly list a few of them.
Right.
Okay. So, Angling Times British Junior Championship 1981, Drennan Super League final individual winner on the Trent 1998, 1999 third individual. You came third as an individual. Yeah. In 2000, you were individual and team winner.
Yeah.
2002 British Open Championship winner. 2002 again Park D Masters winner. You've been in the final of that 8 times.
Yeah, a few more now.
4 times Fishermania finalist. You've been in the Maver Match this final. 5 times Whiteacres Festival winner. 4 times Argos National Champion. Angling Times Winter League Team Champion 2004 and 2007. Division 1 National Team Champion 2005, 8 and 10. Bronze medal in the World Club Champs in Slovakia in 2009. And you were the Shakespeare Evesham Festival winner in 2009, a bronze medal in Belgium World Feeder Championship in 2012. You picked up the gold in that same European Feeder International, the Midland Angler of the Year winner in 2016, and the Feeder Masters champion in 2017. Like I say, that is a selection. Not everything.
Like I said, I've been around for a long time, so...
No mention of an 11 pegger there.
No mention. I skipped past the 11
I'm still
peggers.
clinging on to mine.
I've jumped past them. You've won a few things, it's safe to say. What is driving you to keep going? What's the goal? What's your motivation to keep going and keep competing in these events?
I just love fishing. I love fishing and I love competing. If my family around the table now, they will tell you that I will play tiddlywinks until I win, and we're not going to bed until I win. I really do want to win. I feel I'm a good sportsman, and I really do applaud people that beat me, but I really do want to win. And I guess if I didn't go fishing, I'd probably do something else. Probably play golf and try and win at that, but I might not be good enough to win at that. But it's.
But if you weren't good enough to win at that, you'd keep going until you were good enough.
Well,
to
I may
win
do,
at
yeah.
If you couldn't fish matches, would you still go fishing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fishing that drives me, and I've taken the match fishing path.
Yeah.
But I go abroad. And I always fish. I mean, I went to Sri Lanka at Christmas, and I went fishing for barramundi because I've always wanted to catch barramundi. Wanted to catch GTs, but I just couldn't get out. But bonefish, I love fly fishing for bonefish. I go pleasure fishing, fly fishing. I go on the rivers fishing with my trusty old centerpin, catch grayling with Nigel Botherway, who's a great bloke, and I go because I love it. I love the banter, but what took me into match fishing was I just followed a path that, like, I'm not from a fishing family, but I wanted to go fishing, and my dad actually started fishing himself so that he could help me to go, and his friend went fishing and he taught my dad, and then my dad brought me along so that I fished as well. But I went down the match fishing route, but I love fishing, I love competing, but the competition in fishing is against nature. It's against the elements, against the fish, and I just love it. Absolutely love it.
Can you actually remember what it was initially that made you want to go fishing? Was it just walking down the canal, you've seen someone doing it and thought, I want to give it a go?
Do you know, I don't know. I don't honestly know.
Yeah.
It's good. Somebody asked me that years ago, and I don't know. I think it was probably... You guys mentioned it in your last podcast about seeing people on the canal banks, on the river banks. I think it was highly likely that I saw somebody fishing on the river, and that sort of drove me to think, I'd like to have a go at that.
Yeah, so I'll put that same question to you then, what I asked Andy last week. See, that was the exact situation that I found myself in when I was younger. Walking along the canal, and there was a junior match going up. It was actually being ran by Helen Dagnall, who worked in the tackle shop there.
Yeah.
I walked along with a couple of my mates, and there was probably 30 kids fishing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have a go. I'd seen them fishing.
Yeah.
I went in the tackle shop, pestered Helen for a bit. She told me about it. She gave me a little bit of a setup, and I went fishing. There isn't as much of that going on now. You don't see people on the canal the same. You don't see people on the river the same. There's some hot spots not far from me. There's Evesham, so you see a lot of people fishing at Evesham.
Yeah.
And there's also a very good junior population of anglers around Evesham. But in general, there's a lot less of that than there was, say, I don't know, 15 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago.
It's a lot less visible, isn't it?
Is that having a detrimental effect on the amount of juniors getting into fishing, would you say? Or
I think it's one of the factors, certainly, but outdoor activities are losing out to younger people per se, aren't they, on a whole? I know golfing, for example, is struggling like mad. It's struggling to recruit younger people, but most activities like this, and I think it's more to do with technology. I mean, we've all got our posh phones and tablets and iPads and TVs and computers, and we spend our lives on them. I do, but I still go fishing, and it's finding that link between somebody seeing and learning about fishing and actually the step to want to go and do it. And I think there's a number of projects throughout the UK that are helping. Can always do more. Like take a friend fishing, for example, get hooked on fishing. They're great projects, but these alone can't get the amount of people involved that we need to get involved in fishing. I think it's a very, very difficult question, and the solution is probably even more difficult to find. I don't have the answer other than just everybody try and take people fishing, try and get them involved. We go down to Whiteacres for the week. You'd be amazed. Whiteacres it's the mecca of fishing. It's like everybody goes down on holiday to Whiteacres fishing. So many people go to Whiteacres and don't go fishing. And we have people come around and say, "Oh, my son's sick, do you mind taking him fishing?" We probably introduced, in that week, 15 to 20 people to fishing.
Yeah.
And what is nice is we get to see those same people year in, year out, and now developing into anglers. George Organ, for example, fished for Young England. He was there with his dad 7-8 years ago.
Really?
And he was just like a keen young lad. And he used to sit and fish with us, and you could tell he was going to be good. But it's those others that aren't necessarily involved in it or interested in it. It's dragging them in. It's hard. It's so tough, Jake. It really is.
Yeah, and I suppose the glamorisation of fishing. Obviously, there's very limited, so especially match fishing. There's very limited sort of exposure of match fishing on the TV. You say technology, people are always on their iPads. They're making match fishing look glamorous on the TV, on mainstream TV. There's a little bit on BT Sport, but actual match fishing there's very little. It seems like if the younger generation are going to get into fishing, it's sort of the carp side of things.
Well, I think,
and it's a prize fish you've caught. Look at this! Straight away they can catch a massive carp, and that's it. And it's a picture of you holding a massive carp. Match fishing's not really like that.
It's not, but I'm not precious about match fishing. I think that the most important thing is to get people involved in fishing. I think if you can draw somebody in as a pleasure angler, as a carp angler, as a sea angler, as a guy who's tried fly fishing the first time, if you can introduce them to the sport, whatever arm of the sport it is, you've forged that link, haven't you?
Yeah.
If everybody's a carp angler, well, that's great, because we've got everybody fishing. There'll be lots of carp anglers that turn into fly anglers, match anglers. Rich, used to be carp angler, didn't you?
A lot of specimen carp fishing, and then match fishing, bit of fly fishing, and
exactly.
You have a bit of a dabble.
just fishing. And I think
it's the love of fishing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you'll be the same, having done a bit of everything. That it's when you see all the internal bitching and politics of carp anglers against match anglers, even within match fishing, where it's river anglers against commercial. It's like, why? It's just fishing. Everyone's going to do the same thing.
Fishing.
It's all involves skill. If you're at the top level of any of them, you've got a lot of skill and a lot of dedication. It's like there's no need for any of it.
But there's absolutely no problem at all with going and sitting on a camping chair with a little tiny 10 quid outfit and just sitting with a pint of beer or just chilling out behind a carp chair with an alarm sat on your phone.
Yeah.
It's a great experience. It's just like breathing fresh air rather than breathing fumes. It's about, seeing kingfishers, woodpeckers, deer, even otters, minks, birds, everything. You say I have had so many conversations with so many people who don't fish, who say, "Why do you go fishing?" And then I say to them, "Have you ever seen a kingfisher?" "No." "Why not?" "I have. I could take you to see a kingfisher now." "Oh, that'd be fantastic." That's just one example of why people should go fishing.
Yeah.
But
it only takes that first run from a carp or the first fish that you hook to get most people hooked. It's very rare that somebody sort of experiences that and then doesn't enjoy it.
Exactly.
The first time that like you say, even if they're sat there on a deck chair, they've got a little buzzer going and they hear the buzzer going off, pick up and there's a carp on.
Yeah.
Generally, they're going to carry on doing it.
Yeah. I think I think the key is to get people. Robson Green, for example.
Yeah.
I think he's done a lot of fishing. People sort of mock him as an angler. It doesn't matter whether he's the best angler in the world or the worst angler in the world. He's introducing a lot of people to fishing for us, and he's got something that me, you, everybody, as top anglers can't. I can't access the general public. I can access fishing, and I can tell the people who read the magazines how good this is, how good that is. But I can't help the guy or girl or man or woman who doesn't go fishing. I can't encourage them to do it.
Yeah.
Because there's no access to them.
That's a hard step, because obviously there's so much. Obviously, with the stuff that Guru's doing and various other companies with their kind of schemes where they're bringing anglers on, it's getting they're already anglers and they're making them into better anglers and bringing them through,
which is fantastic.
But, as good as it is, it's not that it's getting that initial step of just getting someone to try fishing that probably won't have anyone in the family that's done it, has got no link to it. That's trying to get to that mainstream is obviously, I think, the stumbling block at the moment. But I think you look at some of the stuff going on in America where that's really growing on the but you've got the bass side of things where it is very Americanized, but you've got massive boats, massive sums of money, and it's
massive prize money. You can come 100th and walk away with
they're winning like $100,000 per round effectively, and that's the sort of thing as a kid you're going to see it on TV. You see it on their equivalent of Sky Sports or whatever, and you'd be like, I want to do that. It's the same as someone watching a football match or the F1 and being like, that's what I want to do when I grow up.
But then you look at like the Fishermania final, and I've said it for years, like I put something on Facebook, and if it's anything to do with fishing, it's got pictures of fish on, loads of likes. Anything with a girl in it, loads of likes. Anything about football, very few likes.
Really?
Like anglers, they like fishing and they like boobs in general. It's the truth of it, to be honest with you. Fishermania, when someone's holding up a £50,000 cheque, they've got two glamorous girls dressed nicely next to them. That should be shown everywhere. And I know that fishing's not all about the money. It's absolutely not. I don't go fishing for the money, obviously, but to a lot of people, that will appeal. That will be enough to make them. Oh, you can win 50,000 by going fishing.
It's aspirational, isn't it? It's not going to be one of those. 99% of people know they're never going to be a professional footballer or something, but it doesn't. That's what people are seeing. That's what's making them want to try it and get into it. Isn't
But
it?
I don't think that's what appeals to somebody who doesn't go fishing. initially. I think that it's all about catching a fish.
Yeah.
And I think to draw those people into fishing, you've got to catch them a fish.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to do. Because those people who've got the fisherman or fisherwoman in them, catching that one fish will be enough.
Yeah.
That you've caught them then.
Yeah.
And it's up to the industry to keep them in.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Right, moving on. You are largely renowned as one of the best, if not the best, all-round angler. What's that like? As people are saying that to you a lot. You know that that's a title that you were sort of associated with. How does that feel?
Well, it feels absolutely fantastic. It really does. It's an honour for people to say that kind of thing to me. I've spent a lot of years fishing and doing what I love and enjoy, and for somebody to pat you on the back and say you're doing well is great. Really is fantastic. But I've never gone down one specific route over the last 20 years because I thrive on varying my fishing. You know, I'm doing quite a bit of feeder fishing at the moment, but I still do a lot of other fishing. But I try to focus on certain areas. But I think by doing lots of different things, it keeps me sharp, makes my brain work, and rather than just go down one route, whether it's on rivers or whether it's catching F1s or whether it's feeder fishing, for example. If you just do one thing, the channel, the route you're going down narrows and narrows and narrows, and you become quite single-minded. You become very, very good at it. But I believe that you become a better angler if you tax your brain in different areas. The local craze, or not local craze, the craze at the moment is to have like brain taxing things to do on your computer, on your iPhone, whatever, to keep your brain working. They challenge you give you different challenges. Fishing has got so many different challenges within it, but what I believe it does is it makes you a better angler at whatever you do when you tax your brain on different tasks. Fishing's the biggest puzzle I'll ever come across in my life, because there are so many variables. You know, we're talking about air pressure, we're talking about moon phases. Forget all that, it's just actually catching fish, but put all that stuff together and it's one hell of a puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah.
But these wind directions, the water temperatures, the type of fish you're catching, whatever that is, all the experience you have still applies wherever you go. And whether you're fishing shallow or deep or flowing water or still water, the principles are the same. And it's nice to do different things. And I don't do it because I only do it because I want to and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I get a buzz out of it. I get a buzz out of sorting my gear out for the next day and taking it all out and putting it back in. Drives me mad, really, but it's something I think I've got to do this. I'm a list man, so I've always got lists and doing this, doing that, and it just keeps me going.
Yeah.
Love it.
Do you find yourself finding it more enjoyable during almost a learning phase of it as well, where it is something a bit different and you're almost having to learn from scratch again?
Yeah.
And it's just all new, all exciting. That phase is the biggest sort of interest with it.
I'm just writing at the moment for match fishing about how I practiced at Tamar Reservoir.
Yeah.
And I won't spoil the article, but it just sums up what I like about fishing. You know, going to a new venue, the buzz you get from going to a new venue. I'm still a little kid at heart. I might be a bit more wrinkly than I was, like a few years ago. But, I'm still a little kid at heart. I still want to go and catch fish like that and do this. And, I'd rather, even, I do quite a bit of barbling on the river and I enjoy that because it's just taxing myself, saying, right, you've got to catch a barbel.
Yeah.
And I want to catch a barbel. And, I went to Sri Lanka. I want to catch barramundi. I really wanted. They're amazing fish. But bonefish are my favourite fish in the world.
Yeah.
I saw an article in Angling Times about 500-600 years ago. That's what you say in a minute.
Yeah.
And I think it was Matt Hayes or somebody, John Bailey was catching bonefish on these salt flats. I said, I'm going to do that. As a 10-year-old kid, I said, I'm going now. I'm going to do that. And I've been and done it, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I was just as excited buying the tackle I needed to catch that fish as I was to actually catch it. And that to me is what fishing's all about.
Is that how you find yourself? You'll see something that you want to do, and you just in your head, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Set
and
yourself
you
that
just
goal.
Yeah.
work out how to achieve it.
Yeah.
And you've got your kind of end goal in sight. Like with your feeder fishing, was it like you're seeing feeder masters like, I want to be competing in that, and do anything to do it?
Yeah. Just I suppose when you get a taste of something and you enjoy it, you want to try and be the best at it and do the best you can at it. So I'm a project man.
Yeah.
I like to start a project and I like to complete it, and then I think, what can I do next? But they're all similar projects.
Yeah, so you've always got your list, and that's your end goal. Once that's ticked off, it's move on, work out what's next to tick off.
Excellent. So one thing speaking about the all-round side of things, you're one of very few that have represented both the float and feeder side of things with the England setup.
Yeah.
How did you find the whole England experience, and what happened there? How did that sort of go, and where did you leave it?
All I wanted to do in fishing when I started match fishing seriously was fish for England, and to achieve that goal was just out of this world and absolutely fantastic. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I didn't represent England at world level in the floats, but I was in the European team, the home nations team, for 10 years, 11 years, I think. And then Tommy Pickering asked me to help him form the first feeder team, world feeder team. And I jumped at the chance, thought it'd be a great thing to do. I knew when I agreed to do that it probably cost me my place in any world float team, because for 2 years I actually went on European champs and the world feeder champs, and something had to give. So Tommy basically said, you're going to have to focus on this. So I relinquished that place. I was struggling to get in the world team anyway. I was up against some absolute class anglers, some full-time anglers, and I found it very difficult to actually get, to stay ahead and compete properly with these guys. So I went on fish with the feeder team. Had a bit of bad luck, I think. Caught a lot of fish, did quite well the first few years.
You won a gold medal one of the years.
No, we didn't. We won silver medal.
Silver.
And we won a bronze medal, and then a bronze medal again.
You did well.
Yeah, I did well, but didn't win. It's nice to win, but basically, the team that is there now is a fantastic team, and they all deserve the place. They're all doing very well, and I wish them all the luck in the world. I really do. I have no issues about not being involved in the England team. It was my choice in the end to step back, because I couldn't work, be with my family, and fish at the highest possible level and do everything right. So something I had to give. Shout out my daughter's university now. Daniel's a big swimmer. They've got to have time to themselves. I've got to give them a lot of time, and there was just not enough time in the day to work hard and play hard.
So it was a bit like what we spoke to Andy about, getting that sort of work-life fishing balance.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
And one of those things had to give so that you could get that balance how you wanted it, so that you could still compete at the level you wanted to compete at, but then also spend time with the family and do your job well as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Great times.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have changed, would not have changed. It was fantastic. It made me the angler I am. You know, I've fished with the best in the world. They are the best in the world. They're still the best in the world. I hope I've contributed to a lot of the success, but I've also learnt a massive amount from that. The preparation part of joining the England team. When I first joined the England team, I prepped like mad. I prepped so hard you couldn't believe it. You go sit with Will Race and Steve Gardner, Alan Scotthorne, and then you really learn what prep's about. You really up your game. And I'm still doing it now. What I learnt from them, I'm still doing now.
Yeah. Did you find that due to the fact it was a team and anything you do wrong is almost affecting everyone else, that it did make you put that extra effort in rather than it being an individual affair?
Yeah, absolutely. Team fishing is all about team. And I don't fish as much in teams now. I fished for starts for years. Loved team fishing. But it is all about team. And you know what they say, there's no I in team. It's true. There isn't any I in team. To be a unit and to be a winning squad, you have to do everything together. You have to share everything. That's why the England team have always done so well. That's why they do so well now. That's why the feeder guys do so well. They're totally and utterly dedicated to team fishing. And there's no other way.
Yeah.
Absolutely no other way.
And moving on from the England side of things, in a way, management. So you mentioned there that you sort of Tommy asked you to be on board with setting that side of things up. Is management ever something that you'd consider? To me, everything, all your attributes, I'd think would transfer perfectly across to that sort of thing, taking on one of the teams. Is it something you'd ever be interested in? Or do you feel like you've still got too much to do fishing yourself?
Yeah, you've answered the question. I've been asked to get involved a number of times, and my answer has always been, I'm not ready to pack in fishing myself. I've got far too much in terms of work on. You know, I work full time. I manage the UK aspect of CERT, which is largely a Garbolino brand, and that's hard work. That's sales and marketing and product development, and 10, 11 trips to France a year. It's a lot of hard work, and at this point in time, I don't have the time to get involved in management. Would I get involved if you had to push me today? No. If you push me in 5-6 years, I don't know. Maybe I would want to get involved. I don't think so. I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
I would love to do it.
But if everything lined up where it was possible, you had the time, you didn't feel like... Because I know that, obviously, I've just been out on a World Club Feeder Champs.
Yeah.
And went out as part of the management team of my team, Daiwa Gordon League.
Yeah.
We went out, I got there, and I was just like, why have I said I can't fish? Why am I just coming out just to help out and run the bank?
That's the problem, isn't it?
You want to be doing it.
Yeah.
If you're fishing at the level you're fishing at, I get the impression from your competitive nature that you would just want to be fishing. You'd
Absolutely.
find it so frustrating
Yeah.
to be there and watch and not be able to be fishing.
At this point in my fishing career, I still want to hold the rod or the pole myself. And I think, I admire people like Mark Downs. Mark Downs is a brilliant, absolutely brilliant angler. He's been brilliant for years, but he's a brilliant manager. He's managed Starlet's team pretty much all his fishing life. And they've been hugely successful. The same with the England team, hugely successful. And you've got to be a certain kind of person to be able to do that for so long. Tommy Pickering's the same. He's done a great job. Can't fault what they've done. And now you've got Dean Barlow who's taken over the mantle. Dean's a great friend. The only team I fish for now is Team Mainline DGG, which Dean is 25% of that, along with the rest of us. And he's great, and he'll do a great job.
Good. So, maybe, but not sure.
Well, Don't hold your breath.
So, the tackle trade. We'll move on to that. You mentioned there one of the big things that is your work life, a massive part of what you do, being in the trade.
Yeah.
How do you see the trade at the moment? Is it declining or simply just changing?
It's definitely declining. For sure, it's declining. It's not. Fishing is not a buoyant market. We spoke about trying to recruit new people to the market, especially youngsters, and that's not happening. Fishing license sales are a little bit better than they were, but they're still not good compared to how they were 7, 8, 10 years ago. So it's a declining market, and it's an ultra competitive market. It's getting more and more competitive. There's some really big, good players who are doing things very, very well. There's some big shops, big chains who are doing things very, very well and dominate the marketplace. And some of the smaller dealers are finding it very, very tough. But if you're a fisherman, the choice of fishing products has never been any better. It's absolutely fantastic what you can buy these days in fishing.
With more getting released even quicker.
All the time.
I remember when I was growing up again, poles didn't seem to come out as often as they do now. Like, I remember you'd get one model and it might be 2 years for the next model to come out, or 3 years even sometimes.
Yeah.
It seems to be that they come out a lot quicker these days. Or
well, we still release them every 2 to 3 years. But in all honesty, with any product, we try to release the new products, when there is something new to release. Now, all markets depend and rely upon new products being released. You know, everybody, whether it's phones or cars or whatever, the general public has a desire for new products. We all love buying stuff, really, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, and my kids, or my young adults as they are now, just love buying stuff. They buy stuff off the internet. Like, it would have taken me 3 weeks to choose what they buy. They just buy it on the press of a button these days.
Yeah.
And we live in a disposable marketplace, and if it's no good, then
I think
it's gone.
It kind of sums it up where, obviously, when I was at MAP, you got people asking, when are you bringing out a new version of this? And then you actually ask them, what's wrong with the old one? What would you like to see changed?
Yeah.
Oh, nothing, I love it.
Yeah.
So why do you actually want a new one bringing out? It's almost like they just want something new for even if a lot of it is just rebranded, recoloured, and it's not giving you anything better at the end of it, other than the fact you can say, this is the latest model. And I think that's
the big thing, isn't it? That is the big thing. Like, I think it's like cars, and I'll relate it to that just because when I bought my car, for example, there was 2 on offer. There was my car that was it had been on show in the showroom. It had done 30 miles. That's it, not 30,000, just 30 miles. It was 6 months old, and it was the latest model.
Yeah.
Then there was another one that was £500 less, or £1,000 less expensive, but it was the old model. It had done exactly the same amount of miles. I could have saved myself £1,000, but one had the daytime saving lights at the bottom of the grille at the front, and one was underneath the lights, and that was pretty much the only difference. Everything else looked identical, but one was the Mark II, one was the Mark I, and I paid £1,000 more to get the newer model, despite them being near enough identical, simply because that was the new model. And I think it's the same with poles, whether it's a 3G or a 2G, if it's pretty much the same, bit of different graphics, people want it, because if they're on the bank and Joe Blogs on the next peg rocks up with the new one and you've got the old one, they might be exactly the same pole pretty much, but if you've got the...
But
you see it so much.
You do.
Where someone will have the old, or obviously there's that cycle where you kind of know when a new product's coming out because the old ones start getting discounted. It's the same in every other market. But when you see people that have brought it near the end of its life cycle and there's a new version comes out, and how angry people get on social media about it, And it's as if in their head, just because it's not the new one anymore,
It's
they can't
got
use it.
worse.
It's no good.
Yeah.
But it's exactly the same product you brought before you knew about the new one. It's not changed.
And
So-
they've got it probably at a much better
Yeah.
price than
Much
those people
better
that bought them earlier.
And
You know, it's like with any product. There's lots of really good new products that come out that are special and different. It's really, you know, like I say with poles and rods, we bring out poles and rods when we've got something different to actually.
As new technology
Yeah.
comes out and
Yeah.
new carbon, and that
Yeah.
and that sort of brings us on to the next thing we were going to mention. You see so much tackle working for Garbolino. How far can these things go? How good can poles get? For example, your flagship model that you've brought out, the UK one, is absolutely brilliant. How much stiffer can it get? How much better can these carbons get? But
Well, I'm not sure how much better they can get because that one is pretty damn good, I've got to say. But I'm saying that
we
tongue in
probably
cheek,
we
but-
probably said that 10 years ago about
Yeah.
the best pole at that point. We were blimey,
Yeah.
that's good. Like, how much better can that get? We're 10
Yeah.
years down the line, and now it's like, if you put this one against that one,
Yeah.
this one's so much better.
But it's just little things, you
Mm.
know. I think in the advertising we actually say marginal gains, and it truly is. It's about getting 1 or 2% gains everywhere, from QC, from the better mandrels, from better procedures in the factory, actually making the factories cleaner and better to work in so that the product is more cared for.
Yeah.
That just makes the pole so much more reliable. But just little tiny things, you know, we've changed a few. I've changed something in that pole that I will never tell anybody about, because everybody will be able to do it, and I don't want anybody to know. It's so simple, and I don't know why I didn't think about it earlier.
I think
But-
most good things are like that. You almost
Exactly.
come up with an idea.
Yeah.
You're like, someone must have done this before because it
Yeah.
is so obvious. And
Yeah.
there is a few things that stick out like that.
Yeah.
But do you find it almost seems to be going down the route of making stuff a lot more user friendly as well now,
Yeah.
where everything's coming pre-bushed and like the packages are geared towards different sorts of fishing that you do, and it's having that ready to go aspect and making it more user friendly. It almost takes away that human error on the end user's part as well.
Yeah, and
Which-
it's everything's uniform, everything's
Yeah.
correct, and we talk about this constant flow of new products, but you know, every time something comes out, it generally has got an improved. Especially poles, for example, bad poles don't sell.
No.
Most brands have got really good poles. You know, top of the range poles are fantastic. Any brand that brings out a top of the range pole that does not stand up against its competition is really on a sticky wicket, because that's a lot of investment. You know,
Yeah.
It's so much investment to create products like that. You know, Rich,
It's
you've
more-
been involved.
Yeah, you look at it, it is more than people are. Some people spend more on a pole than they do a car.
Yeah,
sort of
absolutely.
thing. And
Yeah.
it's crazy when you
Yeah.
actually sit back and look at it, how much people are spending.
Yeah,
That, yeah, you are going to take your time to research into them. And I think most of the flagship ones now, you're not going to find a bad pole.
no,
I think it's just about having a look into them and working what suits your fishing.
yeah,
Obviously, there's going to be some that are stronger than others. There's going to be some that are lighter than others. But it's just finding what suits you and going and having a play with it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
and
I
what you get, what the extras you get, the bushes, the puller kits, things like that. Like you say, what suits your fishing.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just the top of the range. I know a lot of people, like with the magazines, sort of will say, "Oh, there's never a bad review in there." Well, for a start, with the magazines, if something's really bad, I think a lot of people know that the general consensus is if something's really bad, it won't be in there, because you can't just
No.
slate something and
No.
say this is absolutely terrible. Like, we just can't do that. However, what we can do is give fours and against.
Yeah,
And I know that whatever product we get, that's the case. There will always be fours, there'll always be some against. And if that is this pole slightly heavier than some of the poles at the same level, however, it's also stronger, well, there's your fours and against. But at the top of the pile, your top of the range poles are always going to be very, very good. But some of those lower down poles as well now, there's the technology and the developments in pole making and in rods as well mean that across the board products are just better these days.
The product categories that have benefited more than anything is the lower price category.
Yeah.
Because the market's so competitive, they've got to be really, really good. And, whereas the manufacturers would try and skimp on, quality of eyes, guides, labour costs, whatever, to get a cheaper product. Now they're trying to add more bells and whistles and put pressure on the supplier to give them a better price, to get a much better product. So the anglers are winning. They're definitely winning.
I think you get all the uproar when a new flagship pole or seat box or whatever comes out, and people are moaning about the price. You can't charge people that, but it's almost those sort of things have to happen, and then the technology or features that are on that
pushes
they feed down the channel, and then in a few years, all your poles or all your seat boxes will have X, Y, and Z.
They've all got the bushes. They're all pre-bushed. All got the puller kits, everything.
Yeah, and definitely with that, it happened with poles. It's pre-bushed, and all those, it's pre-drilled. The price looks expensive, but like you say, everybody else can start doing that. Carbon seat boxes, they've come out £2,000, £1,500, but then everybody else can sort of build up to put something in between. And
the market will decide, because everyone gets annoyed that there's it's pricing out the working man and all that. No one's forcing anyone to buy it, and at the end of the day, if no one does buy it and it is too expensive, then it's only going to be the manufacturer that's losing out. They're the ones with a load of stock in a warehouse that they can't sell. So it's almost the market will decide whether it's too expensive or not, and it's down. Everyone makes their own decisions. There's going to be people who want a carbon seat box just because it's not going to catch any more fish.
There's always people who've got the money, and the manufacturers will do the research as well to see what the market wants.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people who seem to think you're just plucking figures out of the air, and it's not scribbling down on the back of a fag packet. No. Yeah, we'll get £1,000 for that. We'll have a go at that, but there's manufacturing costs involved. You'll know how much tooling and everything like that costs. That if you are actually designing a product from scratch as opposed to getting something off the shelf,
ridiculous the cost.
How much goes into that is scary, and I think that's what, as an end user, you are actually paying for all that time, effort, money that's gone into it. You're not the raw cost of the materials that go into something aren't just what you're paying for. I think
the tool inside is something that the end user doesn't ever see, and that's where they often will just see a price and sort of jump to, that's expensive. But obviously there's all that tooling. The Preston Innovations and the carbon seat box thing, I can guarantee that's paid off big time for both of those companies, in the way that they've got seat boxes that are below them in the price points. Yeah. And if they bring out a seat box that's double the cost, I can guarantee that those at the lower price point will sell.
It's like, just look at Tesla, the electric car. They've got these ridiculously priced cars. People buy them. Yeah. They're not actually saving any money in terms of fuel and stuff like that, because the cost of the car is so much. But they think they're doing the right thing, or they're contributing, not polluting the environment. So people have got money to make their chosen decisions.
I think it's very much that there is a lot of stuff out there that the question that everyone asks is, will it catch you more fish? And a lot of stuff is no, but will it be nicer to use? Is it a bit tarty?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if that's what you want, obviously there's so much good cheap gear now that compared to even when I was working in shops kind of 10 years ago, that it's got so much better now that you can get good, like, sub £1,000 poles. It's amazing. Ridiculous. Like, I'd say most of them, even up to 14.5 metres, you put a £1,000 pole against a £3,000 pole, you're gonna struggle to tell much difference at that sort of length. As soon as it's obviously once you get to 16, that's where you start noticing your real difference.
The manufacturing costs in a pole, poles, 80% of the cost of a pole is in the material. Yeah. And of a pole, the big ends, the big barrels at the back, they've got the most material in. Yeah. So if you want a really good pole, you've got to have the highest modulus carbon in the back ends. to create a 16 metre stiff as a poker pole.
Yeah.
At 13 metres, you compare them all, like you said, there's not a massive amount of difference. It's when you put the extra barrels on that gives you the extra price and the extra performance.
That's when anyone who's broke a 14 or a 16 metre
We'll
section will know
Yeah.
how painfully expensive it is.
Yeah.
Right. You've been very successful. You've mentioned that you've done a lot on the feeder side of things recently. Is that a fad, or is feeder fishing growing and here to stay? Do you think that there's more and more people getting into it, or is it the same population of people travelling around the country who are doing that sort of fishing at the moment?
Initially, I thought it was just like just a bit of a fad. People will just do a bit of this and then they'll go back to what they were doing. But I think it's absolutely not a fad. And I'll give you a good example. Feeder Masters teams of 4. Okay, started off 2 years ago where 15 teams basically started. I think there were about 5 or 6 teams on the waiting list to get on. What happens every year is the top 7 stay in the league and the bottom 8 get relegated and have to go fight for the place at Barston to qualify again. This year there were 67 teams applied to go onto that qualifier. So that sums it up, doesn't it? No, it's not a fad. Feeder fishing is growing massively. And it's growing massively throughout Europe, throughout the world.
Because that's the thing, it's massive in Europe and it's
huge. Yeah. And what you've got to remember is, in Europe, largely it's been only pole and onglaise fishing, waggler style. Now they've throughout Europe they've found feeder fishing and they love it. And our rivers, all our waters they're tuned perfectly around the world for feeder fishing.
Yeah.
Not a fad at all. No, it's here to stay.
Because I think that's one of the few competitions now. It's with the main feeder masters as well that there is people clambering for tickets. I think everything else, you look at, it's like what Fisher was a few years ago, where it was almost the draw for places, and everyone was like, when the tickets come out, everyone was dead excited about what they've got, which ones they can fish at, and they seem to have obviously it's changed with more available with Maver and Golden Reel, but it's almost those have just become your normal matches that people are buying them a couple of days before and just I'll give that a go. But feeder masters now, it seems it's still got that kind of special exclusiveness
it's
almost.
The future. No, it's great.
Definitely. Right, and final thing to finish off this little section is what is left to achieve. What is your next target or your next goal?
I'd like to win Feeder Masters again.
Do the double.
I would, yeah. But keep having a dip in and out of Match This and Golden Reel. I'd like to win one of those finals. That'd be really nice. Just missed out on Fishermania a few years ago. But I go fishing where I like fishing. And so, for example, if I want to go to Larford and there's Golden Reel, I'll go fish that. If I want to go to Barston and there's a Golden Rod or Feeder Masters or whatever, I'll fish that. So I fish where I like, rather than think, oh, that's feeder fishing, or that's pole fishing, or that's F1 fishing. I go where I like. So I'm not really setting myself goals to achieve and win competitions. It's more about qualifying at the places I like to fish. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to achieve something, doing what you want to be doing. And if that falls in line with a free weekend where it falls at a venue that you like, you want to go and fish. It doesn't matter what the discipline.
Yeah.
You want to then qualify, win the final, and it all fall in place.
Yeah. And wherever the final is, I'll put the hours in and put myself in a position where I've got a chance of winning, because I'll find out enough about the venue and practice enough to understand the venue, and then it's down to getting in the right area and getting a draw. So that's how I work in my fishing these days. Not afraid to travel, not afraid to fish anywhere. In all honesty, I just enjoy it.